It's Chris, host of The Heart of the Story. Welcome to the show. It's good to have you on. Thanks for taking the time. How are you doing today, man?
I'm good, just busy, ripping and running. Always got something going on, but it's a good day.
That's fantastic, my friend. That's fantastic. I think last time I talked with you would have been a couple of years ago. Uh, you made an investment recently in a company called Hoop. Is that right?
Yep.
How's that?
Hoop is it's great. It's an artificial intelligence basketball goal. Um, they so basically what it is, it's a TV screen inside of a basketball goal. Um, it has training. It counts your shots for you. It counts your makes. You can also watch TV. They compare themselves to the Peloton of the basketball space. So that's an investment that I'm really excited about, and I see big things coming from it.
That's fantastic. Are they looking to go into the retail space at all?
Definitely. Right now, they're taking pre-orders, so they're loading up with that, and I think they're actually closing out another capital raise. I can't remember which round it is, but I think they're almost finished with that. So the company is definitely growing day by day.
That's cool. So would this be comparable to like a Shoot 360 type concept?
Similar, but I think this one you could train. They have like it'll be a built-in subscription. It comes with trainers already, built in. You can play it. Say you're here in Charlotte, North Carolina, that's in China.
Yeah.
That has a hoop. You're able to do shooting contests and train with that person all the way in China or anybody else who has the hoop. So it's a little bit different in that sense, and I think it'll disrupt the industry.
Oh man, that's exciting. So you get to actually compete with people. That's kind of similar to another concept I know, platform sports, but that guy was not able to ever get it off the ground. That's super cool.
Yep.
That is very cool. Well, man, for anyone who wants to know, I'm very curious to learn more about this myself because I don't know this about you yet. What what got you into venture? Like what got you into the investment space, being conscientious of actually like building business and having a career post basketball?
Honestly, I got a late start, into the business space, especially venture capital. But being an NBA player, I'm from a small town of 2,000 people. So to make it to the NBA was a long shot, but I made it. But before then, my eyes were pretty closed to the things that existed in this world. But once I made it to the NBA, I had teammates that were from bigger cities, and they were veterans in the NBA. They had been around for a while, so they had a little bit more money. And I used to always hear them talk about, their investments and how they're making money from it. So that intrigued me once I started hearing that. They were the veterans; they were the cool guys on the team. So I wanted to, fit in with them. So I was like, let me start learning about business and seeing what I can get my hands into. So just hearing them talk about it, and then I think my first 2 years I got injured. So I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna last in the NBA much longer. I just kept getting injured, so I was like, I gotta start investing my money because I don't know how long I'm gonna be able to play. So I started, my first venture with my partner Jonah. It was a we started off as just strictly training, combine, just combine. We did strictly training, and now we grew that into a private academy, a private high school here in Charlotte on the outskirts, grades 9th through 12th. And we have basketball, baseball, soccer, and golf. That's what we offer, the sports that we offer. We also accredited. We have CBIS status, which allows us to bring international kids over, and we can board, and we can. So we board, which is purchase housing, and we feed them. We have our own campus sitting on 63 acres and over 100,000 square foot of building space. So that was our first venture that we ever went into, and how we got into that space. My partner Jonah, he had experience with his mentor running American Basketball Institute, I think it's called.
Hmm.
So he had that experience, and he wasn't really sure what he wanted to do coming out of college. So he came up and stayed with me that one summer, and we stayed up just late night, just figuring out, what could we do together to start in business, and that was our first idea, and we just took off ever since.
That's incredible. Yeah, I saw a video you talking about it one time, and I thought it was so cool. So, you guys, like, how'd you get the name Combine Academy?
Well, we just stayed up late nights, just spitballing, just trying to come up with the perfect name. We threw out so many names, and then I was like, I came up, I said combine because of the concept. We knew that we had a list of emails, all international kids that were looking to come over here and get exposure.
Yeah,
So we were like, we're bringing kids over from international into our world. We're combining them, with our domestic.
yeah,
We're combining, domestic players with international players. So we're combining everybody. Plus, the training aspect is kind of a double entendre. So, the training aspect is as well, basically putting the players through the combine. So we figured that name, it fit to the T.
that's so cool. And that school, it started kind of small, but now it's just so big.
Yep,
Um,
yep, yep.
how's the fundraise going for that? I remember last time we talked, actually, you were in the middle of trying to get a fundraise for that.
Yeah, yeah. We raised one 1.5
Hmm.
million. So the raise went well. There's something I think we're gonna open up another round here soon. Just so we can continue to grow, but it's growing, exponentially. We have a waiting list of about 200 kids, 200 plus kids actually, but we have limited space on campus right now. We have dorms and other housing on campus, but we need more housing, to work with the influx of kids that want to come in on the waiting list and keep the numbers increasing.
How does this school compare to a IMG or a Wasatch Academy or an Oak Hill?
Yeah, we actually play those schools every year.
Yeah,
We like to call ourselves a boutique IMG academy.
yeah,
The only difference is, they started with a great influx of capital from investors, and we built ours from the ground up. So that's definitely something that we're proud of. Just so we could learn the nuances. We started with a $2,000 investment from me, and that was for a website to entice the kids and show them what we're capable of and what we'll be providing for them. But we often compare ourselves to IMG as a boutique, more intimate IMG.
that's so cool. And IMG's owned by like a private equity firm now, right?
Yep, they are.
Yeah, I thought I saw it was like the
Yep,
group that does UFC. Thought it was like the group that like owns UFC or WWE. I mean, don't
it
quote
might
me
have
on it, but
been.
I thought it was that same group. It's so interesting that like a private equity firm kind of has, I don't know, it's weird. I mean, it might sound bad to say it like this, but they kind of have own kids. That just feels weird to me. It just feels
Yeah, yeah. I'll be interested to see their next plans.
That's so cool. Um, dude, you want to tell everyone else like about the rest of the stuff that's going on in your portfolio? You got Hoop and you got Combine, and it makes sense. Like Hoop is a perfect play to just you can honestly have that at Combine and just I mean
Yep.
instantly kind of bring it into the market. Any other companies or products that you're just really excited about?
Honestly, we're excited about everything that's in our portfolio. We have a company called Novo that we partnered on with with Mark Cuban. It was a Shark Tank product.
Hmm.
It's a eco-friendly shampoo, and it's really disrupting the market right now. We're getting into hotels. It's what it is. It's a shampoo with a slender film over it, and all you have to do is run water over the film over the shampoo. It's like a little pod in your hand.
Hmm. I saw this on
Imagine
Shark Tank.
imagine like a dish detergent pod that you put in the dishwasher. It's very similar. All you do is run water over it, and it dissolves in your hand, and you just lather it and put it in your hair. So it's very
Yeah.
eco-friendly. We're taking the place of hotel bottles. So the NOBO actually means, it stands for no hotel bottles. So that's another product that I'm very excited about. Also in our portfolio, we have a minority stake in DC United, the soccer team, and that's all on the venture capital side. Um, something the thing that I'm most excited about is our real estate portfolio. We own over 300 doors. We just see the upside and everything that's going on in real estate, and we it's a lot to learn, but at the same time, it's a lot of advantages of real estate. The appreciation of the property, the depreciation that you can take on taxes, the cash flow that's coming in. It's just you got to find a niche, and I think we found our niche right now. In this market with the interest rates being so high, we've switched from focusing on single family to small apartment complexes, just so we can have more doors, just so we can make our cap rate, make sense with these rates. So that's probably the biggest thing that I'm, most excited about the real estate, just because I see, the numbers and how crazy they're going. Um, and we also recently just got into the restaurant space. So we just opened our first restaurant here in Charlotte probably about 3 months ago. It's called Fume Kitchen and Cocktails.
Hmm.
And now, a few months later, we're looking to open up another restaurant in my hometown. So we're getting our feet wet in the restaurant space. It's really no industry that we're afraid to go in,
I
as
love
long as we
that.
feel comfortable. A few of these industries, we have, partners that can help us that's been in the industry longer than us, and we can learn from.
Uh-huh.
So we're never afraid to go in any industry, as long as we feel comfortable diving in and feel comfortable enough to invest our dollars. We do a very good job of vetting out opportunities.
I love that. And I assume also with the real estate side, you know, you have the ability to create ecosystems. You did that with the school to some extent, where once you have an ecosystem, I tell this to people who are in real estate all the time. If you've got the multifamily, you got the hotel, you got the retail, whatever it is, you can plug in your own concepts
Right.
into that.
Exactly.
And you can have the people who live in the community work at your concept. Like you can create a self-running community.
Definitely. I love working with the people in the community. Whether it's giving them advice, providing some kind of resources for them. So everything that we do,
Hmm.
um, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Now everything that we do, we try to see if we can, co-mingle and help somebody else from, let's say one business. See if we can help them with something in another one of our businesses, like the restaurant that we opened up. I have friends and family working in there, so that's it's just always great, to help other people out, and we try to do that as much as possible.
Dude, I love that, man. That's fantastic. What's something that you would say to another athlete right now? Like, because there's a lot of athletes out there, the way they view the business stuff, the way they come into it. Um, they've never had money, they've never had opportunities. They start getting these people in suits handing them checks for the very
Hmm.
first time, and it's almost like a feeling of like, why would I invest or go into a business and take the risk of maybe not getting the dollars when I got people who are willing to just pay me up front? What would you say to an investor, to an athlete, to kind of make that, to kind of flip that switch and get them into, get an athlete into the business world?
Are you referring to like what Magic did back in the day of taking cash over equity in Nike?
Or like MJ, how he took the profit sharing route, where I think a lot of people actually think that he's like a big equity stakeholder in Nike when he's got a profit cut in Nike, but that
Yeah, I think it's
profit
twenty
cut,
percent.
yeah, it's like 20%. But you look at the
Yeah,
his profit earnings he gets year over year from Nike, it's way higher than any endorsement deal anyone gets.
right, right. Yeah, I think some people just don't understand their value and maybe how to vet a business. And people see that low hanging fruit. Honestly, if I'm an athlete, um, NBA or whatever, major league professional athlete, I'm looking at how much money do I have coming in, and if I really need that money right now, versus if I can get equity in a company, you know, right now even retire, I'm instead of looking at cash deals where somebody can come in and pay me to be an influencer, I'm looking at equity. We're always searching for the equity in companies just because we know what that could turn out to be. Of course, the company has to look, like it has great potential upside, but that cash is just so enticing for anybody up
Hmm.
front. But if you really know the space, if you know the game, and if you believe in the company, it's probably better to take that equity, especially if you're an athlete that can influence and really help that company get off the ground or whatever level it's on. It's a pretty good idea to take a look at that equity over cash.
Yeah, definitely. I
That that
mean,
that, that, that equity, it could pay off big in the future. You just got to be patient with it.
100%. Especially like I've said this to athletes before, and the time is you're never as hot of a commodity as you are when you're actually playing. And
Definitely.
when you're actually playing and you're in the game, use those opportunities, man. You're on TV like every night. You're getting
Right.
you're getting introductions and connections to people that people can't do, just regularly. And a really emerging, promising company could use those connections, could use that celebrity status to grow. And if your face, your network could add hundreds of millions to billions of dollars of value to a product or a service, why not get a cut of that?
Right. Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. I think a lot of athletes, they don't know to trust. They don't have anybody in that business space that really knows it. Um, and they don't know, where to go to, who to trust. You hear stories all the time about, these financial advisors, stealing money from their clients. So it's really hard to know who to trust out here. Thank goodness my business partner is my best friend. But it's really tough out here to know who to trust for these athletes. So a lot of times you see athletes just when they do invest, they're investing in stuff that just seems hot, that seems cool,
Hmm.
instead of really doing your research and vetting out the deal and investing into things that aren't super risky, like real estate. Real estate is a long term play. It's short term plays in real estate as well, but for the most part, real estate is long term. Is a long term play, so you're gonna have your money tied up for a while. But the advantages, um, that you can take from real estate and the future upside, the appreciation of the house, honestly, the real estate market does better numbers than the stock market. But if you hire a financial advisor, guess what? They're going to put you
Well, they're gonna go
the stock
stocks.
market.
Yeah.
With in vehicles that's going to pay them fees. Instead of really looking at and seeing what's out here, every financial advisor that I've ever had, they just they give me life insurance, and they throw me in the stock market. And both of those are things that they can make tremendous money off of. Um, and when I think it was about in 2000, I can't remember what year it was, 18 or 19. It was
Uh-huh.
Donald Trump was in office. I fired my financial advisor. I
Good.
was yeah we looked at everything that he was putting me in. We figured that he's putting me in vehicles that I didn't need to be in, and that he was making a pretty nice little fee off of. So we decided. I actually reached out to him and asked if he would mind. I still wanted to work with him. He's a great guy, but I asked him if he would if he mind um, cutting down on his fee, and he told me that he would rather not. So I parted ways with him. Instead of getting a little bit less, he got none.
Yeah.
It was honestly the best decision that I've ever made when it comes to my money, because I took all of that money out of out of the stock market, and I invested it all into real estate, and I'm seeing way better returns.
Well, dude, I like that, and I mean nothing against financial advisors. I'm not trying to like ever go after somebody's money, right? And like
Yep,
go after somebody's career, but mm, financial advisors aren't actually financial advisors; they're salesmen,
yep, yep.
and there's actually back offices, admin that work at all these firms that actually manage the actual allocation of the funds, and the
Right.
financial advisors are just salesmen. And yeah, I mean, to be honest, my father-in-law gets better returns on sports betting than he does on the stock market.
That sounds about right. Sounds
like
about right.
like he did a bet on horse racing over the weekend and made way more money than he did on his Intel stock. So
Yeah, yeah. If you pick right, you're gonna hit big.
yeah, I mean, unless you're a fan of the Phoenix Suns, and then they get the worst odds ever, so you're not going to get a good return on that one. So
Yeah, yeah.
the lines,
But nothing against the stock market.
yeah,
I think it returns on average, 7 or 8% yearly. So I mean, it's not bad, but I just see better returns, in real estate with more advantages as well.
yeah,
It's an asset that you can touch, which is huge for me. Not relying on some company, some of these companies, their fluctuation, and I'm not having to worry about what they're doing, behind closed doors and what's going to come to light and all of that.
yeah.
It's something that I'm actually controlling.
You get to see. Yeah, I mean, I'd say this to people as well. To your point, the stock market can do well, and I know people who make quite a bit of money in the stock market. I mean, Warren Buffett's made almost his entire wealth from the stock market, but Warren Buffett is extremely financially literate, and is at a point where he manipulates the market.
Yeah,
I was at
right.
Berkshire Week, literally at Berkshire Week, maybe 50, 60 feet away from the guy, and I witnessed him manipulating people who are seasoned financial advisors and whatnot in the room on a deal, and pretty much got everyone in that room to short a stock that he then bought right after the event and was able to turn into a $60 million profit on
Yeah,
his
that sounds
keynote
about right.
speech. Like,
That's how the rich get richer.
that's how the rich get richer if you know what you're doing.
Yes.
So, but yeah, I mean, real estate, more millionaires get made in real estate than anything else. So, and I know
Yeah.
my buddy Bronson, I don't know if I introduced you to my buddy Bronson Kafusi, but Bronson, he's preaching to people, athletes all the time. He played in the NFL for 7 years, and he's
Okay.
preaching to athletes all the time. Real estate, the tax
Yeah.
advantages alone, just do it.
And the biggest thing about real estate with with athletes, the most intriguing thing is if you're actively playing, the bank will lend to you. You know,
Mm-hmm.
they see your guaranteed earnings, and they will lend to you. So you won't even have to use your cash. You might have to put down, 10, 15% or 20%, probably at the most, for a down payment.
Mm-hmm.
But the bank will just keep lending to you, and that's how we built our portfolio up. Because when I was playing, when we started getting into real estate, I was using mostly cash to buy the houses because we were real estate illiterate at the time. We really didn't understand the game as well as we do now.
No harm, no
But
foul. I was the same way.
yeah, I was using mostly cash. It ended up working out well just because I had put that cash somewhere else instead of spending it, keeping it in my bank account. But now, we're taking those same properties, we're refinancing them, and just once we refinance them, we just buy more real estate. And then once our other properties, once just keep building equity, equity, equity,
Mm-hmm.
year after year, you can refinance it, and go out and buy more real estate. So leveraging is a big part, of the real estate game. If you can, get lending, you can make a huge splash.
Oh yeah, especially like you're like a private client at these big banks. Like I know
Yep,
some guys at the JP Morgan side on the private client side. Dude, if you're a private client, you are royalty. You can do whatever you can kind of do what you want, get what you want, and
yep,
use that to your advantage 100%.
definitely.
Um, I think I'll just like kind of finish off with this of just completely the exact opposite direction. Who you got winning the NBA finals?
Man, I'm a big fan of Jokic. I think they'll come out of the West. Um,
Mm,
but I think whoever wins the East is gonna win
really? I'm a Phoenix Suns fan. Like I'm
it.
I'm rooting hard for my guys right now, but I mean we're freaking cursed out here. Like we don't win anything in this state. Like
Yeah, it's gonna be tough for y'all. Y'all got some firepower with KD and D Book, but I think they lost their bench, during the trade when they made those trades with Cam Johnson and Mikal Bridges. So that's kind of tough. It took a hit. Those were especially Bridges, a huge part of their team and a huge part of their engine that made them go. Um, so it's.
I know.
If I
It's
had to
tough.
bet, if I had to bet, I would bet against you guys.
I'm not gonna lie, dude. I know you're totally right. I told people when the trade went down, Jock, I think it's the GM's Jock Jones. I was like, dude,
Yep.
I was like, if I was the owner, I would fire him over that trade because not against KD. You would normally be very excited to have KD. He's one of the best to ever do it, but
Yep.
we gave up way too much for that. Way
I
too
agree.
much. Bridges is an all-star. And
Yep.
you literally
Yep.
traded an all-star for a younger all-star, and then you also gave away like 4 draft picks, the six man of the year candidate. Like that's just way too much.
Yep.
It's just
Yep.
way
Way
too
too
much.
much. Yeah,
Way
I
too
think it's
much.
gonna bite him in the butt. And next year, the year after, it's gonna be very interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah. Well, man, I appreciate you. I appreciate the time. Let's definitely keep in touch. And thanks again, my friend.
Yep. I appreciate it, Chris.
No problem.